This is Anders Clemett speaking from SpeakerHub, and it's my pleasure to welcome here Lauren, who's going to be sharing with you lots of great ideas and her insights about how to get better known, well paid, and wanted. And Lauren is joining us from Eastern Australia, which is, I was just telling her in the prep, that it's mind-blowing that we have a truly global webinar today where Australia, Europe, North America, and even Central America is represented, as far as I can tell from the stats. And it's just really, really fascinating that we can have so much knowledge shared all over the globe. Now, Lauren is an award-winning personal branding specialist, and with her 25 years of brand management experience, she'll be bringing to today's webinar her work with various world-leading advertising agencies and corporate businesses. And she owned her own successful advertising agency for many years, and now runs an international personal branding agency, which is called The Ultimate Business Propeller. She'll say a few words about that. And she's actually a Kiwi who's based on the Gold Coast of Australia and travels pretty much around the world to talk about this fascinating topic that she'll be sharing with us. A bit of housekeeping. Today's webinar, just like all the previous ones, is being recorded, and the transcript will be available a couple of days after the webinar, just like the presentation, and we're very happy to answer any follow-up questions. And in the meantime, you can type in any questions into the chat box, which we'll try to answer, or Lauren will hopefully be able to answer live, or we follow it up afterwards. But without any further ado, Lauren, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Andres. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with everybody, and it's wonderful to see people checking in from all around the world. It's lovely to see Ontario. Nice to see you, Paul. Bertie from South Africa. Kiora from a lovely Kiwi sitting in Australia at the moment, as Andres said. Amazing that it's just morning here in Australia, and beautiful morning it is. I'm sure it's nighttime where a lot of people are, and middle of the day in other places. So thank you very much for joining us today. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Now I'll just get these slides going, and I'm playing around with the with the screen as we go, but we'll get there, and just it's all good fun. So just very quickly, as Andres has explained, my background is in brand management. Some of you may or may not recognize some of the logos on the screen in front of you. It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to work in extraordinary places like Saatchi and Saatchi's and Clemenges and Ogilvy's. Having my own agency and so on, which has been just an absolute, really, really blessed background to be able to work with those sorts of people. And I'm hoping to share with you today just some of the insight, even if it's just 1%, of how you can actually become well-known, well-paid and wanted through speaking by using your personal brand to do amazing things. So hopefully that will help you today. Personal branding is my key thing. That's the thing that I really am so passionate about, because I see a lot of people, especially speakers, who struggle to really keep a focus on what you're doing. And we're going to be talking about that today. The number one mistake that I think people are making when they are speaking, and especially speaking to sell something, either to sell your services or your program or your book or your course or your training or whatever it is, I see a lot of speakers making a major mistake, which really does make it difficult for you to sell yourself or to sell your services or your products through speaking. It makes it uncomfortable, it makes it really hard, it makes it difficult, it makes people in the room feel uncomfortable, and it's a really, really basic mistake, but you can overcome it really, really quickly and really effortlessly when you have a strong personal brand. So that's what we're going to be talking about a lot today, and a little bit about the award-winning program that I have, but I'm going to be sharing with you the real core basics for you, just to get the 101 that you can actually implement and put into practice today. So the key interesting thing about being a speaker, and I heard this from one of the other speakers in this fabulous series that's been put together by SpeakerHub, talking about sharing your story and making sure that you are authentic from stage. Whenever you're speaking, you're sharing who you are and being incredibly authentic with what you do. On the screen in front of you is a school report. Doesn't matter if you can't read it. It was typed up back in the 1980s, showing my age. But this is a little bit about me that I'd like to share with you today, is that I'm dyslexic. I'd love to know if there are any other dyslexic people on the webinar, on the call. So please pop that in the chat box. Just a hand. I don't know if I can do a hands up, Andres. That would be really cool if you do hands up. Yep, it's me. It's me. Deborah saying yes, absolutely. Good on you. Dyslexics are fantastic people. Of course, we're very creative. Paul saying yes as well. It is interesting, actually. It's a really, really interesting thing that I've noticed is that a lot of speakers actually have dyslexia. Isn't that interesting? Peggy, Paul, all saying the same thing. So this is my school report that I dug out when I was building my personal brand. And it noted in there, back in the 1980s, I think I was 12 at the time, that my English teacher said to me, look, I think you've got word blindness, which back in the 1980s, of course, is dyslexia. He said, look, you're really struggling with this. You're never really going to understand how to read or write properly. You're not going to understand the background of it. You do it, but I don't know how you do it. And you're not quite, grasping this. Now, that was a pretty mean thing, I suppose, for a teacher to say to a 12-year-old student that you've got word blindness and you're never going to be able to read or write properly. But he actually was a very, very good teacher. And he took me aside and really helped me with my spelling. He helped me have a love for books, and I threw myself into novels. He also gave me words every night that I had to write down in a little book and take home with me and get somebody to read out while I spelt them. And the only way I could do that was by forming an image of that word in my mind. Not necessarily the way that normal people, I'm not saying that dyslexics aren't normal, but I'm going to use that term, normal people spell using all sorts of different combinations. For me as a dyslexic person, it was about the shape of the word. It was about the way that it formed together and trying to just imagine that shape in my brain. And even now, when somebody asks me to spell a word, I have to close my eyes and see it in my brain. And if there's any dyslexics who've said yes so far, you're probably all sitting there laughing, saying, yes, that sounds absolutely like me. So that was word blindness, and that's what I did to overcome that disability. Now, the nicest thing about this report, of course, is at the end, the phrase that he wrote on there, that if I had a class full of Laurens, there's no limit to how far we can get in that program. So that's very cool. It still gives me goosebumps today that that's that teacher, what he thought of me, that he could have had a class full of Laurens and we could have achieved so much. So dyslexia for me was a disability, but it became my greatest asset. And now, of course, I'm a best-selling author. I've done that about 5 times, got lots of books on Amazon. You're welcome to go and have a look and search for me. David saying possibly bad connection. So I don't know, I'm sure your technical genies in the background can jump on there. And I'm hoping you can hear me okay.
This is better now.
So yes, better now? Okay, cool. So really interesting, isn't it, that a dyslexic person can become a best-selling author. And it really is about understanding that you have a story, you have a background, you have something you can be sharing with the world, be that through books or speaking, whatever you're doing, that's extraordinary. And you should always think about that as part of your personal brand. Never think that people are not going to be interested in your story. It really is vital that they get to know who you are. So, so writing a book was pretty cool, and you can find out more about that. It is available on Amazon. I talk about discovering your personal brand and how to package that natural talent and skill, even if originally you thought it was a disability like I did, and to really get yourself down to that niche where you can become that sought after expert and specialist in your industry. So you can grab hold of that if you want to. But this is the most interesting thing about understanding where you've come from in your life. Even if you're not dyslexic, you don't need to have a rags to riches story. I know a lot of speakers really struggle with this, and they think, oh, I'm nothing special. I haven't had this disability that I had to overcome. I haven't, and you can see I've got a sense of humor with this slide. I'm hoping it's making you laugh. I haven't had some dreadful disease or cancer or whatever. I haven't gone through that to now have an amazing story to tell. You actually do. Every single person has their own personal brand story. So take the time. One of my biggest tips, and really early tip for you right away in this training webinar, is take the time to go back through your life. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about the thread that's taken you all the way through your life to be where you are right now. And make sure you tell your story. I heard a speaker before in another one of the SpeakerHub classes talking about telling your story, the importance of sharing your story. I absolutely agree with them. It's just the most extraordinary thing you can do as a speaker. So that dyslexia that I had, that disability that I had, became my greatest asset. And I became a really well-respected brand manager. And I looked after lots of different brands. There's a couple of the brands on the screen in front of you. It'd be interesting if anybody recognises some of these, because they are mostly from Australia. Even if you're just starting out, what I'm going to be sharing with you today are just some really basic. I don't do difficult, I only do easy. So some really basic things you can be doing to A, make speaking easier for you, and B, if you already are speaking in different continents and you've already started doing that, making it really easy for you to sell yourself from stage. So to sell your services, to sell who you are, to build that trust. So this is the number one tip that I would have for you when you're trying to sell when you speak, is to understand that the human brain sees brands with emotion. It sees you with emotion. And it's really, really vital that you take this. This is probably the number one thing that I would like you to take away from today. And if you write it down, which is always a good way, even if you throw the paper away later, just doing it while you're listening is really a great way of getting things in and to learn them. The human brain sees brands with emotion. And every connection you make when you are speaking, through your books, through your training, through your program, anything you're doing, you want to be thinking, how do you want to make people feel? When they've heard you speak, how do you want to make them feel? And there's something I've been studying for a while called neurobranding, and I'm going to very quickly just go through a little neurobranding exercise with you. I'm going to share with you a very well-known global brand. And you would have all seen this brand before. And there's some fabulous neurobranding that's going on in this branding, in this logo. And neurobranding is more than just logos. It's about the way you make people feel. It's the way that human brain sees brands, and it sees personal brands. So this is the FedEx logo, and they're using some interesting colors to make you feel a certain way. And I go into that more in my programs. But they're also telling you what to do. This is a brand that's giving you an emotion. It's giving you an emotion of them actually being trusted to deliver your parcel to the right place at the right time without going in a million different directions. It's going to get to where you want it to go to. And they're doing that with the colors, but they're also doing that with the brand. Can you see there's a really large arrow inside the FedEx brand? I'm going to hover over it with my mouse. Here it is here, just in case you haven't seen it. There it is, in between the E and the X. There's a really big white arrow. Now, it's been there forever. And now that I've pointed it out to you, you will always see it, but you may not have noticed it before. Isn't that interesting? So here's a brand that's been understanding for years how it wants to make people feel. It wants you to trust the fact that they're going to get your parcel to the right place without going to a million different locations before it gets there. It's that whole thing about service and getting there. So how can you use really clever branding like this to really understand how to make people feel? And it's one of the things I'm absolutely fascinated by, and I've been studying it for a while, and it's part of my training. So so that's an extraordinary thing. There's a bit of insight for you. But Maya Angelou, God bless her soul, amazing woman, once said people will forget what you said, especially as a speaker. They will forget what you say, and they will forget what you did. But they will never, ever forget how you made them feel. They will walk away from a speaking event telling other people how you made them feel. And really think about it. If you're a speaker and you should be going and watching other people speak to learn from them as well, how did they make you feel? When you shared that you went somewhere and you heard someone speak, what were the words you used to explain them to somebody else? Chances were it was mostly about how they made you feel. So personal branding is all about that. It's all about understanding that. How do you make people feel? How do they interact with you? How do they engage with you? And there are 3 R's to personal branding, which I haven't got time to share with you today, but I'll give you the three R's. The 3 R's are reputation, recognition, and respect. If you want to write those 3 things down, that's what you're looking for when you develop your personal brand to become a speaker and to sell your services from the stage and from whenever you're speaking. Your reputation, what people say about you when you're not in the room. Your recognition, what you're instantly known as. And what you're respected and trusted for. Those are the 3 R's. If you can get all those 3 working together, you've absolutely nailed it. So today, I'm going to very quickly share with you the basics, the 101 basics to becoming well-known, well-paid and wanted as a speaker. Whether you are just starting out or whether you've been speaking for a while, whether you already have programs and a book to sell when you speak, or whether you're just starting out and you're building those things. I think it's absolutely vital to have those things. And if you don't already have something, even if it's just an ebook that you spend one weekend writing or a day writing and stick it somewhere on a landing page, have something that you can send people to, even if it's just a database gathering exercise. Have something that people can get from you when you speak. It's really vital, because the human brain just wants to be told what to do. And if you don't have anything, you're leaving them at an end and they don't know what to do about it. It's really vital you have something to give to them. So, so think about that as well. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is a little bit of neurobranding. It's understanding what's going on inside the brain of your audience when they're listening to you speak. And there really are only three things that the human brain wants to know. It wants to know, do I know you, do I like you, and do I trust you? Speaking from stage takes a huge amount of trust for people to buy from you. And they need to really know who you are, they need to like the idea of working with you, and they need to trust who you are. So let's quickly go through those three things, and hopefully you'll be taking notes because we haven't got a lot of time. So number one is know me. And this is the first thing that your audience's brain will know when it arrives in a venue, and or even before it arrives. If they're booking their ticket to come and hear you speak at something, or they're booking their seat, they want to know, who are you and what do you do, and can that help me? The human brain is 100 times more interested in itself than it is in you and what you're going to be talking about. It wants to know, should I go along and hear that speaker? What have they got? How can they help me? So you need to be really clear about that. Now, there's a certain part in the human's brain, it's called the amygdala, and it's an ancient part of our brain. It's our fear center. Seth Godin's a bit of a branding guru, talks about it as the lizard brain. And it decides whether it should trust something or not. It's there to help stop you make bad decisions. And especially if you're buying something as an audience member from somebody who's speaking, your amygdala is the big part of your brain that's going to be keeping you in your seat and stopping you from getting up and going and purchasing a book or a program or talking to the speaker or whatever else, is a fear center. So you need to cut through that fear center. And the number one thing that will set off that fear center, that'll put the barriers up and stop people wanting to buy from you when you're speaking, is waffle and too much information and overload. So if you're not clear, if you're not absolutely focused on just sharing the one or two simple things with people, and you overload them with too much information, their fear center will just shut down. If they don't know who you are, they don't know what you're talking about, they don't understand it, they will not buy from you. The confused mind will never buy. So it's really vital that you understand this. And the interesting thing is that the amygdala and the human brain is absolutely being hit with a million different messages every day. So by the time it comes and hears you speak, it's already overloaded. It's already sitting there thinking, did I put the washing on the line? What have I got to do for dinner tonight for the kids? I've got to go and get that meeting at 4 o'clock and I haven't finished my presentation yet. There's all these other things going on. In fact, in the 1970s, it was estimated that the human brain was seeing about 500 branded messages. And today it's more like 5,000. So you have to be really clear as a speaker to cut through all of that overwhelm that people have. Really, really vital. So again, make sure you share with people who you are. Make sure you give them some reason to listen to you. My background, of course, as you can tell from my crazy accent, is I come from New Zealand. For any Australians who are listening today or watching this particular webinar, this is a really accurate geographical map. They'll laugh, of course, because New Zealand is about a quarter of the size, if not that, of what it is on the screen in front of you. Australia is massive compared to New Zealand, but I now live in Australia. So I tell people this background. I share with people where I come from. And Oprah Winfrey, and I had the pleasure of listening to Oprah speak last year, and she was just extraordinary. She started speaking at the age of 3 in church, so just so important. So she once talked about the fact that your story, your purpose for being, is a thread that connects those dots to everything that you do in life. It leads to your extraordinary life. I talk about your purpose as being the thing that keeps you on track when you're speaking. And it's using your story, telling your story of where you've come from, why someone should listen to you, what it is that you do and how you help people is so vital, because then they trust you. They know you, they like you, and they trust you. So my story, just very quickly, is that I grew up in the bush. This is the picture of the New Zealand bush in New Zealand. In New Zealand bush, New Zealand, that's where it is. A little place called Hunua, where we used to mess around in the bush, and a lot of people would get lost. It's a very thick bush. It's not like wide open English or European or Australian bush. It's quite tangled and thick, and a bit like Vietnam, I guess. You can get quite lost quite easily. And the tools that we used to use to make sure that we didn't get lost were maps and compasses. And this is the one thing I'd like you to understand. When you go and speak, when you decide to go out there and be a speaker and sell programs and sell your books and so on, you need to keep on brand. Your compass really is your brand. It keeps you on true north. It keeps you in the direction of your purpose. On topic, talking about the one thing that you want to be well known, well paid and wanted for. Not going all over the place, not overwhelming people with stuff because you think it's cool or it sounds great or you heard it somewhere else. Just sticking to your brand, sticking to your one area of expertise and sharing that with people. And then use your map, your marketing action plan to decide where to speak, what audiences you want to speak in front of, where about the world you want to speak, whereabouts your key opinion leaders are who are going to say, look, if you're looking for a great speaker who talks about alcohol abuse or confidence or motivation, then go and talk to this guy or this woman. So you need to really think about first getting your brand right. Get on purpose, find your true north, then figure out where you're going to speak, who your audience is going to be and what you're going to do. Really, really vital that you get that right. Now, I don't have time to go through how to find your true north on this webinar, but I do have a guidebook for everybody. So if you wanted to get hold of this, just go to the ultimatebusinesspropeller.com and you can download it there. This is a guidebook. It's brand new. It's just come out, and it is about how you explain what it is that you do and why someone should choose you. And it really helps you define your elevator pitch, your core message for your brand that keeps you on that true north. So it's at least a start, because I don't have time to do all the other true north amazing things that we do. So if you want a copy of that, it's a free guidebook. I've got it there for everybody who's on the webinar today. Andres, I notice, has just put a link up in the chat box, so you can click on there and go and get it. Please let me know if you've done that, because I want to give people who have got the book today a couple of extra bits and pieces, and I'll go through that at the end as well. So please just type in that you've got it in the chat box, and I'll try and get back to you with those extra bonuses I have as well for those action takers. So go and grab that. It'll really help you because we don't have time to go through it today. So the main thing that will happen when you are speaking from stage is that people will decide, are you somebody worth listening to? Can you actually help me? They'll decide that when they're deciding to come and listen to you speak, when they see a promotion for you. So it's all about becoming a pro. Pro stands for problem resolution outcome. Good on you, Rob. You've got the book. Well done. So becoming a pro, problem resolution outcome. The interesting thing is that a lot of speakers talk about the problem, and it's absolutely vital that you do. That you go out there and you talk about the problem that somebody has that you solve. And you talk about your resolution, about how to solve it. Great, Therese and Deborah have got in there, got their book as well. Great to let me know. Thank you, guys. I'll let you know what else we've got for you. So if you become a pro, you talk about the problem and the resolution. That's great. But the most important thing when you speak is that you really talk about the outcome. You talk about the transformation that takes place when somebody has read your book or used your services or done your program. It's so vital that you paint the picture of the outcome in the brain of your audience when you're speaking. Because if you don't, you just leave them hanging, and that confused mind won't buy. So I'm going to do a really quick personal branding exercise, an exercise, a bit of fun with you today. What I want you to do is I want you just for a minute, just pens down, paper down, let's just relax a little bit. I want you to concentrate on 2 words that I'm going to give you. And these 2 words are going to help you to understand and see for a fact that the human brain paints pictures. It doesn't take notes, it paints pictures. So the 2 words I want you to share in your brain, and just think about it and concentrate on these 2 words, are bacon and eggs. So bacon and eggs, just concentrate on those words. Now what I want you to type into the chat box is, what did you see in your brain? When you thought about bacon and eggs, what did you see? Chances are you saw breakfast, you saw this. You saw bacon and eggs. You didn't see the word bacon and eggs. You saw poached eggs, fried eggs, or eggs however you want them. You might have had 3 or 4 things of bacon. Sunny side up eggs, exactly. Kosher, because you didn't have bacon on there at all. Yeah, so your brain didn't paint words, it painted a picture. So you need to talk about the outcome when you speak. It's so, so vital. Absolutely breakfast. So the human brain works in pictures. Paint a picture of the outcome when you're speaking so that people automatically know what it is that you're about. So we've done that now. I know what it is, what you do, and that you can help me. You've painted the picture for me. Now I want to know more. So the next thing that human brain wants to know is, do I like the idea of working with you? And the key thing to remember here is that you don't want to try to appeal to everyone. And this is The Simpsons, of course. They're not real people, but this is the second biggest mistake I see speakers make. They want everyone in the room to love them. And a speaker trainer that I once had, he's an amazing guy, once taught me that at least half of them probably is going to hate you. They're going to hate your hair. They're going to hate the way you speak. They're going to hate the language you use. Some of them are going to dislike the way you dress. They won't even like the way you walk. They're just like that, and you will never get them to buy from you. So just get over yourself. Don't panic. It's not about getting people all over the world to like you. It's just about finding the people who you're going to like working with, who instantly like you because they already know you and they trust you. So don't panic. Don't try to get everyone in the room to like you. It's really not important. It's more important that you decide who it is that you want to work with. Who do you want to be spending your time with? Because life's too short to spend time with horrible people. Now, this is a book that I didn't write. Robert Sutton wrote this book, but I love it. It's one of the books I read very often. I'll let you read the title of that book yourself to keep this webinar clean. But it's an interesting fact. You don't want to work with horrible people, so don't try to appeal to everyone. Think about when you're speaking, you just want to engage with the people who you like working with, and be really specific. Be really specific about the people that you don't want to work with, and just target the ones you do. Be really specific about them. And make sure when you're talking that you get this feeling. Have you ever walked off stage and you're just fist pumping? You're just going, yes, this is what I should be doing for life. I love this. This is a thing I do so naturally. And you feel like you've engaged the audience. You feel like you've connected with them. You've got great feedback from them. You know, you feel that coming back to you, the energy in the room. So just be really proud of the people that have engaged with you. Don't worry about the people who don't like you. It's really not important. It's more important that you engage with the people who love you. And think about the people who just want it right now. They already want what you've got. They just haven't heard from you yet. They just didn't know about you until they've heard you speak. And I know a lot of speakers talk about getting out there and sell. It's more about give. And the more you give, the more value you give, the more you will be liked by the people who will love working with you. They already like the idea of working with you because they like you anyway. And don't try to sell. This is a really interesting thing. A lot of people talk and they speak and they give a great presentation, and then they get to the end and they get really sweaty palms and they really start to get worried because now they've got to sell, and they switch. Have you ever heard a speaker who is amazing and then all of a sudden their characteristic changes, their emotion changes because now they're into sales mode? Nobody likes to be sold to. People don't like to sell, but they love to buy. The lovely Jeffrey Gittimer, he's an amazing sales trainer. Don't sell. Don't switch into selling. Just be authentic the whole time. Tell people right from the start, this is what you want to be doing. This is the outcome that you're going to get if you read my book, if you do that. This is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm so passionate. This is my background. This is why I love what I do. Just be authentic, be yourself, and share lots and lots of valuable insights and tips and information. And at the end of it, you don't feel like you're selling. People don't feel like they're being sold to. They're being helped. There's more you can offer them. So just
Lauren,
be really clear about the fact that you're not selling. Yes, Andres, go for it.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just, I'm trying not to interrupt you, but because of the sort of 2-second time lag, I hope it doesn't come across that way. So what I just wanted to ask here is, how do you reconcile this? So how do you make sure that it's absolutely clear for the audience what you actually offer, apart from the value of what the service is, without coming through as too salesy?
It's a brilliant question. Thank you, Andrews. And the answer is that number one thing we were talking about right at the start. It's about having a really strong personal brand, a really strong reason why people should buy from you right from the outset as a speaker. And let your personal brand sell for you rather than you having to feel like you've got to slip into sales mode. We talk about this a lot when we're packaging personal brands with the people that we work with, is being really clear around the number one thing that you want to be well-known, well-paid and wanted for. And then when the audience comes to see you, they already know that that's what you do. They're already expecting it. They already know that you talk about how to have confidence. They already know that you talk about how to deal with alcohol abuse or people who can't deal with relationship issues or whatever it is that your key area of expertise is. They already know that about you, and they already feel comfortable with the fact that that's what you're going to be talking about. And by the way, that's what you're going to have for them to learn from and to have at the end of what you speak about. But most importantly, talk about it right at the start. Let people know. They call it seeding the sale, is the technological term for it. Let people know, look, I haven't got time to share everything with you today, but I do have this. I've got a book, or I've got a program, or I've got a service which is here to help you. And you can learn more about it at the end. But I'm going to share with you just 1 or 2% of what I know. That's all I've got time for today. But there is something else that you can have. So let them know, right? That's the elephant out of the room. People know that there's going to be more on offer. So it's really, really simple way to do it. And people will already trust that that's what's going to happen because you're the expert. You've already said, this is what I do. This is my key area. This is what I'm good at. So hopefully that's answered the question, Andres. If it hasn't, please, everybody ask more. If you need to know more, I'd love to know. So that's the first part. The second part. So we've done know me, yeah? People want to know who you are and whether you've got something that's going to be valuable for them. The next thing they want to know is, do I like the idea of working with you? And now we've done that one as well. So the third one is, the third thing that the human brain is wanting to know in order to buy from you, if you're selling something from stage. They want to know you, they want to like you, and they want to trust you. They want to know if you're going to deliver on what you promise. Now, I've been to many, many, many speaking events to learn and to just absorb how other speakers do what they do and so on, and lots of multi-speaking events. And a lot of them promise the absolute earth from the stage. They promise how easy it's going to be. They promise that it's going to be overnight, that, you know, you just buy this one program for $4,997 and within a day you're going to, and it's just not true. It really isn't true. I think it's far more important to be honest with people and say, look, my program is proven. I've already worked with all these people. Using testimonials is brilliant. Third-party endorsement is fantastic. This is what's happened and the outcome I've had with other people. That's absolutely vital. But you have to make sure people know they have to work at this. I think it's something ridiculous. I'm just like 90% of people who download the books like you've done today and like you've done to get that guidebook, all those sorts of things. 90% of people do that. They buy and then they never do anything with it. They don't take action. So yeah, so really, really vital that you make sure that you can deliver on what you promised from the stage, because then you'll be asked back to speak again and you'll be asked for more and so on. So yes, make sure that you're trusted on stage. Now, how do you do that when it comes to the superhuman brain? This is the interesting thing. The interesting thing is, when you decided to become a speaker, your brain was probably telling you that you're a bit crazy. You're going to have to get up on stage and talk in front of lots of people, and you know, you're going to know your stuff. You're going to have a program, have all the stuff you had to do, and your brain, your amygdala, was probably shouting at you, "Don't do it. It's really crazy. You know, you're just really not capable of doing this." The self-doubt came in, and maybe even now while you're speaking or starting to speak, sometimes you get a bit nervous and so on. It's your human brain telling you that you don't want to make a fool of yourself. Be careful, be cautious, all those sorts of things going on. The interesting thing is, as a speaker, if you are speaking, you have probably already mastered your own fear center. You've taken control of your own brain and you've said, look, I know I can make mistakes. I know I can mess up. I know these things might happen. I know I've got all this work to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. So you took control of your own brain, which is extraordinary. You've got a superhuman brain, just letting you know. You are a superhuman. The interesting thing, there's kryptonite with the superhuman brain, and it's called bright, shiny objectitis. And you're possibly laughing when you hear this. It's trying to fit into a presentation as million different topics as possible to talk about, as your speaker bio saying, I talk about confidence, I also talk about planning, I also talk about time management, I also talk about HR, and just trying to add as many topics in there as possible. And it just is really confusing. It doesn't help with your trust currency. And the reason you do that is because of FOMO. The fear of missing out. If I don't say that I also talk about snorkeling or underwater exercises or whatever it is, something crazy. If I don't put in that I also am an HR expert, or I'm also a legal expert, or whatever else, I'm going to miss out. I could get to that conference, or I could get in front of those people. And FOMO will absolutely ruin your trust currency. The fear of missing out will make you appear desperate. It will make you appear like you don't know what you're talking about because you've got a million different topics, and it will not help your brand. And it will lead to what I call WAFDAM. Don't know if you've heard of WAFDAM before. You will be out there speaking all over the place, trying to get your speaking gigs, updating your speaker bio, doing 14 different kinds of presentations because you've got different audiences, all the rest of it, and you will not get anywhere near the recognition that you need. It's WAFDAM, waste of flipping time and money. So don't do it. Don't be desperate. Don't be tempted by the bright, shiny objectitis to go and talk about every single topic under the sun. Just stick to what you know. And find your expertise. Find that thing that you do with ease that other people find difficult. That's why it's called expertise. This is one of my favorite quotes. It's one of my own. Just focus on the thing you do with ease that other people find really difficult. I find personal branding really easy for people, whereas a lot of people have no idea where to start. It's my expertise. What do you find that happens with ease? You just do it naturally that other people find really difficult. Just focus on that and go inch wide, mile deep with it. Package everything together, pull it together as one personal brand, one main topic with lots of different categories underneath it. Really be niche about your target audience, just the people you want to talk to. Be niche about your topic, become the go-to specialist for that one thing that you're well-known, well-paid and wanted for. And find your single-minded purpose. Be really, really clear. What is it you want to be well-known, well-paid and wanted for? What do you want to be respected for? What do you want to be recognised as? What do you want your reputation to be in the marketplace? The funniest speaker, the best speaker, the most knowledgeable speaker, the most enthusiastic speaker for your particular topic. Find your single-minded purpose and go out there and do it. So that will absolutely elevate your trust currency. So those are the three things you need to be thinking about when you're presenting from stage. Understanding that your audience just wants to know, what is it that you do and can you help me? Give them lots of value. Do I like the idea of working with you? Just think about painting a picture for the people who want to work with you. Don't worry about the people who don't like the way you dress. It's never going to happen for them. And can I trust you? Can I trust you're going to deliver on what you promise? Can you share something with me that makes me think, man, this person is amazing. I want more from them. I want to work with them. So Andres, that's it basically. That's where we're at. You can grab hold of a copy of that Selling You book from Amazon as well. And for the people who have got the guidebook today, those action takers, what I'd like you to do, if you get a chance, is you can email me, and I might type my email address into the chat box because I have another
we have it actually here.
I'd like to send you. Oh, brilliant, great. Oh, cool, there we are, Andres, you're onto it. So I'm open for questions. I'd love some questions that everyone has about how do you really sell from stage, and how do you find that one thing? Because a lot of people really struggle with it. How do I find the one thing that I want to be well-known, wanted for? Because there's so much that I know about. I'm an expert. How much do I know about this? How I've got, I know a million things. What's the one thing I should be sharing?
Excellent. Lauren, we've got here just some technical questions, whether the audio and the recording will be available. And yes, absolutely. So we're making the recording available. And I understand now, looking at the screen, we didn't put your email, but we'll definitely be sharing that with you. But maybe you would like to type that into the chat box while I say just a few words, and especially words of praise, because for me personally, with my speaker hat, I think it's fascinating to take that a step back and understand that we should not start with the topic that we're speaking about. It starts much earlier. There's a lot of cognitive psychological processes that happen in the audience's mind, saying, can I trust this person? Do I like this person? A lot of things that impact the substance of what you talk about, and something that you need to be mindful of, aware of, even before you open your mouth.
Absolutely, Andres, and it's funny, isn't it? A lot of people jump on stage and straight away they're into their topic. And I know I heard a fabulous speaker before on one of the SpeakerHub sessions talking about the vitalness of sharing your story. You want to know who you are. And it's about that why. Why are you so passionate about what it is that you do? Because if you're passionate about something, why I care about somebody is so much more vital than how I do what I do or what I do. They want to know, do I care about you? Are you being authentic? Are you being honest? Now, Linda's asked a really, really good question. She said, when I sell from stage, should it be one particular item, such as a book or a variety of products? Now, Linda, thank you for asking that question, because I'd completely forgotten to mention it and trying to get everything through today in the short time we had. Linda, you are absolutely spot on with this question. Here's what I've learned from all of the speaking that I've done, and I am the same. I've got lots of different books, and I've got an amazing award-winning program and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, well, what is it? What's the one thing I should be doing? Should I be giving people the opportunity to do this or that or the other, just in case they've got different levels of interest or different levels of engagement? Here's the thing I've learned. You need to be single-minded. You need to just have one call to action. One call to action. And the reason for that is the human brain just wants things simple. It just wants to know what you want me to do. So at the end of your presentation, or right from the start, even as Andres is saying, right from the start, this is what I have, this is what I'm talking about, and I have this. And it's really interesting, Linda, the minute you do that, the funny thing is the FOMO goes away, and you end up having 100% confidence in what it is that you're selling. And that comes across. It's really interesting, isn't it? That, I don't know, Linda, have you ever been to a networking event? And because speakers should go to networking events. There's another great tip for you. Go to networking events. I know a lot of speakers think, oh, I shouldn't go because I'm Mecca. I shouldn't be just one of the humble audience. Go and network and meet people and learn from them. It's just really vital. But if you've ever been to a networking event and somebody has given you their business card, and on one side of the business card, it's got a business about, I don't know, air conditioning or whatever. And on the back of it, it's got a skincare product or something that they're also selling. How does that make you feel? When they're hedging their bets, they try, if I can't get you for that business, I'll try and get you one. It makes you feel really not sure about that person. And that's what happens when you're in an audience listening to a speaker, and one minute they're saying, look, you can get this from me, and I've got a short course, and for those of you who don't have much time, you can do this, but those of you who want this, well, I've got a book and you can have that, but if you're really into it, then I've got this whole program. It just comes across as somebody who's disingenuine. They're not really backing themselves. And if they can't back themselves, why should you believe them? So that's a really good question. Just be really single-minded. There's a couple of other questions here. Andres, I don't know if you can help me out. There might be one that's standing out to you. How do you choose the logo? Someone was asking.
Yeah, it's possibly something. Yeah, it's more technical, but
Stan, I love that one.
Exactly.
Stan, I love it. I could never sit through an Australian. Nice, thank you, Stan. Well, I'm a Kiwi anyway, so that's probably why. I prefer Kiwis to Australians as well, but I live here, so you know, we won't talk about the rugby. It'll be fine.
Lauren, I'm afraid we need to. Yeah. I hate to interrupt you, but I'm afraid we need to wrap up here. But we're definitely saving the chat, and we're going to be conveying any questions and feedback and comments to you. So I'm positive we can keep the conversation open, and we're very happy to facilitate that and connect the participants, whether live or those who are watching the recording, to you. And it's my absolute pleasure to have had you at this webinar, and it was very, very insightful and interesting. And thank you so much for taking the time to present these insights to the SpeakerHub audience and up-and-coming speakers and those who are more established. And so we'll be sharing the recording and the transcript with you in a couple of days. So feel free to check it out, re-listen to it, and absolutely reach out to Lauren if you have questions. And the very last thing left for me is to remind you that the next session is happening in 1 week about how to create a gotta book you mindset and a gotta book you feeling for your speaker brand. So Lauren, once again, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day ahead on the other end of the world. We'll be going to sleep on this part of Europe, and some of you may be just heading towards your evening programs. So that's what makes it so fascinating. The global speaker community will be concluding or starting their days respectively. Lauren, thanks again.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm glad you got lots out of it.